So welcome to Thirsty Thursday. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Looking forward to discussing one of my favorite projects to make because they're fun and quick and colorful, which are hats.
Oh, I love hats.
Our first episode was about sweaters because sweater weather is on its way here into New Jersey. And so along with sweaters, hats are definitely the next item we like to make during this time of year. And I already wore a hat Saturday night. I was near the water. It was one of my favorite hats.
Oh, wow.
I broke that out. So it's never too early to wear a hat. And we have really a very nice assortment for you today. We are going to introduce a few dozen hats by weight order. And we're going to start with the thinnest to heaviest yarns and all different skill levels, variety of yarns, hand wash, some machine wash, and just a lot of fun. So we'll give you all the details. As in our previous video, the name of the pattern, the designer will all be on the screen for you, and then we'll have a list in the show notes at the bottom that you can reference at any time you'd like to. So first up, Sparkling Cider. This is by Kristin Lehrer. Sparkling Cider is a beautiful, beautiful hat, and we may be able to show you that it has beads on it. So this hat is quite a menagerie of things. So it is knit in Anzula luxury fibers, squishy, which is their merino cashmere nylon blend, and Ito Sensai, which is a mohair, silk and mohair blend, was carried along with the squishy, and the hat is adorned with self-color little 6/0 beads, seed beads. So a great project, a little bit longer to make, of course, than a worsted hat, but much more elegant and a great transitional weather hat. So you can wear this already on a cool evening, 60 degrees out. So it's not going to be your winter hat per se at 30 degrees, but it's definitely a great accessory for this time of year. So check out Sparkling Cider.
Okay. Feels so nice too.
Well, now we're in luxury.
Yes, we are.
So, including the palm. Yes. So this is Tincture by Andrea Mowry, knit in Amano Mayu. Gorgeous yarn.
Beautiful yarn.
Beautiful. Soft palette. Lots of colors that can work together. This is mosaic knitting, not stranded knitting, so you don't have to strand your yarns. You're just going to work one color per row. So that makes the color work a little easier. And of course we use the darker color for the ribbing so it doesn't get dirty with any makeup stains. And why don't you tell everyone about that pom-pom?
We have a variety of pom-poms, both in real fur and faux fur. This is one of the real fur pom-poms.
That was the real deal.
But
That's
what we love
about
the majority of our pom-poms is they have snaps. Does this one have the snap?
Yes.
So when it's time to wash your hat, you see, you just sew the bottom of the snap right onto the base. You can take the pom-pom off, wash your hat, and then back it goes. So you don't have to worry about, oh, it's attached here forever with the snaps. What do we have next?
So we have two of the same hats actually. So we have the Beeswax Hat. Again, see the show notes for the designer. And both of our samples were knit in Madeline Tosh DK, which of course is one of our favorite hand dyers here. We use Tosh again for the breadth of colors the yarn is available in and the sturdiness of the yarn, which doesn't tend to pill like many other yarns. So we love Tosh not only for sweaters, but for hats and accessories as well. It's a great go-to. This is Candlewick, and I think this is Vixen. I forgot. So that one was knit for me as a gift from one of our staff. It's some color,
one of the
nefarious colorway. It was picked for me, and this is Candlewick. You can see our Vixen is a little slouchy because I prefer a slouchier hat, and so more repeats were made in the beeswax repeat chart to extend the length to be more slouchy. And that's really all the difference between a beanie style and a slouchy hat is before the crown decreases, you work more rows of the body to increase the overall length of the hat. So a slouchy hat does not necessarily have a different cadence for the crown decreases. It's simply that the body of the hat is worth longer, or that you have more ribbing. You can also extend it by ribbing. You could make this longer by doubling your ribbing and doing a folded brim. That's always an option. You can always make a hat your own. This is a fantastic pattern, and the pattern is written in one size, but she does give you an indication of how to make adjustments for the hat. So again, this is Beeswax Hat. We have a nice little puff ball on here again. And this one has a pretty little tag that we've put on it. You want to talk about Kobuk?
Kobuk, yes. So this is, again, it's Tosh DK. I believe the color is Scout. And then to add the beautiful halo and change the color a little bit, we carried it with Ito Sensei in Cherry Blossom. So if you look at the two colors, the Cherry Blossom is a rather dark pink and Scout is a very mild light pink. And then the mixture of both gives you that just amazing colorway. So this has a lovely ribbing detail that extends up into the body of the hat. We use the twisted rib, as you can see, because you can see a very distinct definition of your ribbing. And then it also has little, let's see, do we call them noops or bubbles?
Whatever you prefer.
But either way, that's what you get, the lovely little bump detail. And again, I can tell by feeling it.
It's not real.
It's not real. It's
Although
faux.
it looks real.
Yep. And again, it has the snap. So pop it off, wash your hat, lay it out to dry, and attach the pom-pom back when you're finished.
And it shows you it doesn't have to be extraordinarily expensive to be an absolutely fabulous pom-pom. That's one of our most popular colors here. And it's big, full, I think it's 15 centimeter pom-pom. So this is Kobuk by Caitlin Hunter. There you go. Allison knitted this little guy out.
Oh, yeah.
This is Lake Reed.
Yep, and I used, again, Tosh DK, and I carried Ito Sensei as well. So it changes the color a little bit, because I think this was a little while ago that I noticed, so I don't remember exact colorways, but I think it might have been like Shire and then one of the blue greens in the Sensei. So Lake Reed was a lot of fun. I like a lot of ribbing, so I can have a nice big fat brim that I fold up, so I may have extended the ribbing a little bit more.
It also makes the hat warmer during winter. You're going to get double coverage on your ears.
Yep. And then just a wonderful little cable angle pattern. It's kind of hard to see in the light, but it was a lot of fun to do. Again, you find that one beautiful skein, and then you can find coordinating mohair, and you can come up with a beautiful project.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because hats are a great use for one skein. We always look for one skein wonders, which are typically shawls. Customers will come in and say, what can I make out of one skein? They want to limit the amount of time they're going to work on one project, or perhaps the amount of money they spend on one project. So instead of a one skein wonder shawl, which you never can do out of a DK weight, and you can't even make a scarf out of one skein of DK, you can make a hat or one pair of mitts. So a hat is just a great go-to one skein project. Do it over a weekend, and you'll be warm all winter in this one, that's for sure, between the mohair and the merino.
Yep.
Great, thank you. So next up we have two hats from the same yarn. Now this yarn is not available on our website, but we do have it here in the store, and the colorways are spectacular. So definitely stop by and check them out. This is Primrose Yarn Company, which we're very fortunate to be able to stock that in our store. And the first hat is called the Irma hat. And this is just a lovely little pattern that has a wandering kind of line to it. I remember knitting this on the train a couple nights. And simple ribbing, 1x1 ribbing, easy little single kind of pattern, almost the same way you'd make a cable, but it's just every row you're moving that little line one stitch over and you're crisscrossing it. Super fun. What's beautiful about this base, which is called Vintage DK, again by Primrose Fibers, is that you're getting that tweed look. And it's really a recycled tweed, so it's really spectacular. And the Irma hat took one hank of Primrose DK. So really fun project, and it's a free Ravelry download. So next up, also in the same yarn, is a crocheted beanie. I did say crochet, and look how wonderful this is. Primrose DK, Primrose Vintage DK again. And what's the colorway? This is Elderberry. It's one of the variegates that we have here in this base, and this is a spectacular colorway. And the crocheted beanie does take two skeins. And we adorned this with a faux pom-pom, and what a great color that is. This is a different manufacturer. I think these are 14 centimeter pom-poms. So you really have quite a project here. And essentially it's the pattern, I think I forgot to mention, is the Whirlwind Beanie by Rachy Newin. And she's a Jersey girl, so totally check out all of her patterns on Ravelry. We just love her and want to support her. So this was created last year. And it's simply, same concept as knitting, where you're moving your stitch one over, and so the pattern will rotate around the hat or spin around the hat. We also adorn this with one of our store tags here that say handmade, because they are handmade around here. This one is faux suede, and this one's machine washable. So we have some faux suede, lots of different colors, and we'll showcase all of those on a hat a little later in this segment. And we have some cork tags as well. Those have to be hand washed. And all the hat tags are available in our store when you stop in. We'd be happy to show them to you. Seems like a break is in order. What do you think?
Yeah, it is Thirsty Thursday after all.
I am ready for a little bit of libation after all those hats. What do you have in store for us?
So I am going to start with a Bloody Mary. Now, what's interesting about this is that I don't like the typical Bloody Mary because I always found it a little too tomato-y. I like almost all other tomato products. I really don't like tomato juice. So I found my own recipe that just makes it tasty for me. And you may or may not like it, but it's something different, so we can try it. So I've already made my Bloody Mary mix.
Excellent.
And in here I have Worcestershire sauce, lemon juice, horseradish, and instead of using Tabasco, I actually use sriracha. Sriracha. So, and then I fill it up, and I have a low sodium vegetable juice. So I fill this all up, and this is about 2 cups total, and I'll make about 3 average size drinks. We're just going to do samples today. I know. And then I add a little bit of salt and pepper. Since I went low sodium on the tomato, or the vegetable juice rather, it's not 100% tomato. You can control your salt. And then I added a little bit of pepper and even a little cayenne pepper. So it's quite spicy and quite beefy. But I like it. It's really nice to me.
I'm ready.
So,
you're going to serve us up?
I'm going to serve you up.
Right.
So I generally like to measure with a shot glass. So I'll take our glasses, and this is an opportunity to make it a bit of a mocktail too. You don't have to add the vodka. So my fun part is I like it a little diluted. So I will start. Rhonda, you're going to have the cocktail today. So
all right, if you insist, Allison, I can have the cocktail.
Usually I add a full shot of a sparkling water, plain flavor. And then in my case, since I'm going for the mocktail, I'm getting a lemon seltzer. So I'm going to get my lemon this way.
Great idea.
So I'm doing a double shot because it's taking the place of the alcohol. Okay, and then Rhonda is going to we have some fancy stuff.
There's some Grey Goose.
Grey Goose Citron, so that's the lemon flavored vodka.
This is citron, that one?
Yep.
Excellent.
Oh, I love that sound.
And we also sometimes use tomato flavored vodka. We have
so you can play with it a little bit with your flavored vodkas. All right, so this was a little bit messy.
Fabulous.
And then you just add it in, and usually, yes, over ice. We didn't break out the ice today. A bit of a mess. I'll clean it up.
It's all good.
It's all good. And normally I would fill it up to about here. This is our signature TYA wine glass. And we've discovered that up to where it says, we're going to get backwards, the Yarn Attic, that is the equivalent of a 7-ounce drink. So if you're just a little below the Yarn Attic, that's a 5-ounce drink, which is your typical serving of wine. What it says, on the labels. But however much you like to fill it is up to you.
It's all good. Now we have these glasses for sale at the Yarn Attic. Allison designed the logo. It's super cute. And we'll pan in so you can appreciate that. And we have our 3 sheep. The one in the middle, of course, is our girl Betsy. And she's our main mascot here at the Yarn Attic. And the wording under that says yarns, friends, and wine. So fill your drink right up to those words. And you will be feeling no pain. Just don't do too much knitting or crocheting. Cheers.
That's pretty tasty.
Excellent.
So the recipe for my mix will be in our show notes, And also you can find it on our social media info.
Now, do you normally put 1 shot of vodka in my drink and a tiny little bit of
I didn't do a full shot. Did it feel like a full shot? I'm sorry.
Proportionately, we're trying to accomplish something here.
If I was making the full drink, it would have been 1 shot to 1 shot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very tasty. I taste pepper. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Alice and I, whenever we travel together, lots of different yarn events, we almost always get Bloody Marys. So for us, they're really special. We enjoy them. Super refreshing. And we like them even in the morning.
Yeah. Because we're getting our vegetables.
Not on a work day, but if we're traveling about and having a good time somewhere. Absolutely. Especially in an airport.
Oh my goodness, yes.
We've had a few in an airport.
Yeah.
So enjoy. Thank you, Alice.
Cheers.
I appreciate it. Cheers. I think we should talk cashmere.
Oh, absolutely. Cashmere now.
It's my favorite C word in the whole wide world. It's cashmere. It's pretty good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the Shades of Cashmere Beanie. I thought it was called the Shades of Gray Beanie. I guess we've named it two different ways.
We may have named it a couple things before finally settling on that.
Okay, so Shades of Cashmere Beanie. I think we changed the name at some point.
Yeah.
Obviously, we made it in
Shades of Gray.
Shades of Gray. We sure did. Now, we love Cardiff Cashmere, which is an Italian company, fully processed cashmere. So when we get it and you buy it, it is ready to knit with. And talk about addictive yarn. The color palette is wonderful. And we took 4 neutrals, a charcoal, medium gray, a light gray, and then a very, very, like a ecru color, I would say. And I designed the pattern based on the gauge of my knitting, so I could maximize the use of all 4 colorways. So for the ribbing, I held 2 strands of the charcoal together. Then I did, I think it's 11 rows of 1 strand charcoal and 1 strand of the dark gray. Then for the next 11 rows, I did 2 strands of the dark gray. The next 11 rows, I did 1 strand of dark gray, 1 strand of the light gray, and so on and so on. And the very top of the crown is just the solid ecru held together. So it creates a real subtle progression of the gradient effect for this hat. And we have this yarn on our website, of course. We just stocked brand new colors in it, and one is prettier than the next. They're really rosy pinks and browns. Gorgeous. So we have probably almost 25 colors now of this yarn, so we've really expanded this.
And I think we started with the neutrals, and then they just kept making new beautiful colors that we realized we can really change our hat gradients. So we made sure that we got colorways that you could have a purple gradient or a pink gradient or red even.
Absolutely. We've done a red gradient in this, and we'll showcase several kits for you to look through as well. If you love cashmere as much as we do, check out Cardiff Cashmere on Ravelry. There are some new sweater patterns out, and believe it or not, we do have customers that knit entire cashmere sweaters. They're stunning. So if you're in the market for that, please check it out. The Shades of Cashmere Beanie is a what we call a TYA exclusive pattern here at the store, which means either Allison or I designed the pattern, and we likely knit it for you as well, or one of our staff did. And we've taken it, we've made it our own. Again, this is really based on the gauge of your row gauge, not your stitch gauge. And we did all the math involved, and we of course adorned this with a amazing raccoon pom-pom. We have black with white tips. This one's highly sought after. Everyone always asks to buy this one on our hat. So we look forward to seeing you in the store and picking up one of these kits. This would be a amazing holiday present for a very knit-worthy person you love. If they're not knit-worthy, we'll pick you something else out. Save this for knit-worthy people. Absolutely. Or make it for yourself.
Even better.
Absolutely.
I see more cashmere, Rhonda.
Like I said, cashmere is my favorite C word. So this is another hat that we designed here in the store. We call this the Color Shift Beanie. We are pretty literal around here, I guess, right? These are both the same hat, and they are made in slightly different colorways, just so I could show you the difference when you swap out a solid color for a marled cashmere. And I did say yes, there are marled colorways in this yarn. That's how amazing it is. The one difference between this color shift beanie and the gradient hat, the shades of cashmere beanie, is that on the brim here, I actually used a different yarn from Cardiff. I used their boucle cashmere. Yeah, there does exist such a thing. And I made just the brim out of the boucle. And then for the rest of the hat, I held 2 strands double throughout, but instead of blending them, I simply alternated the sections and went from large to small. And a nice shift, you know, and your eye really appreciates that. This could be done in any 2 colors of the Cardiff Classic. So again, the brim is done out of Cardiff Curly, and the body of the hat is done out of Cardiff Classic. So 2 different yarns are used for these hats. Again, these are TYA exclusives, and we give you all of our TYA exclusive patterns are free in the store with purchase of yarn here for that project. We're happy to do so. Stop by and get your cashmere. You're going to need some.
Okay, next up, this is the Bankhead hat. We used Malabrigo Rios for this one. Again, just a wonderful ribbing detail, and then it changes that you have a pearl stitch that runs vertically, and it incorporates into the crown. There are numerous sizes available, and what I like about this one especially is that it does go up to, I believe, a 24-inch circumference. And my father has a very large head, so I was able to make this hat for him, and it actually fits. So I was very thrilled with that.
Great size range, good for
Wonderful
that guy.
size range.
You know, good. It's a unisex hat, so good for guys and gals. You can make one for each of you. Twisted rib on this
Twisted
as
rib.
well. If you don't like a twisted rib, don't do a regular rib.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine. Malabrigo Rios, 100% superwash. So it's a great gifting yarn because you don't have to worry about the care on this yarn. And throw it in the wash machine, lay flat to dry.
Yep.
That's Bankhead.
Bankhead.
This is the February hat. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. Bankhead was also a free pattern on Ravelry, by the way. February hat was part of Kelborn Woolen's Year in Hats, and this is the February release. I think we have the October hat floating around here as well. So we haven't made all 12 months last year, but we did do a few of them. And this hat has been immensely popular. And I think one of the reasons why, I'm going to turn it around just so you can see we did put a tag on it, a handmade tag. It does have a folded brim, and this folded brim is not knit longer and folded up, but rather it's sewn in. So you get a secure double brim without the look of that folded brim on the front, which not everyone cares for. And it's pretty textured hat. It works really well with a solid or a tonal. We knit this hat, actually one of our customers knit this hat, and she's made many samples for us. This hat was knit in Haiku's Sueño worsted, which is a merino bamboo blend, machine washable, dry flat, great yarn to gift for people. This yarn's also available in the DK weight. Honestly, we can't keep the yarn in stock. It's a wonderful seller for us. The yarn has a slight sheen to it, and that sheen's from the bamboo. So the bamboo gives it softness, and it gives the yarn a nice sheen and a little drapiness, I think.
Yeah.
You could repeat more rows before the crown shaping if you did want to make it slouchier. I think it has a real nice slouch to it. And in true Yarn Attic fashion, we put a fabulous raccoon pinky brown pom-pom on this hat just because we could. And I think it's spectacular looking. So it's great. This is the February hat.
We did tell them that there were tags coming.
Yes, Tonka Bay Toque, if you want to roll that off your tongue. Blue Sky Fibers, wool stock is the yarn. One of our favorite light worsted 100% wools here, so it's not a superwash. And this actually I knit to test the yarn out before we bought it for the store. We often do that. We don't just buy yarn and decide to put it on the shelf and have you test it for us, but rather we go to great lengths before we make a new yarn purchase here to make sure that it's going to wear the way that the company says it does? Do we like the feel and texture of it? And then we can talk about it in a meaningful way because we have experience with the yarn. What we have done to this hat, and if you've been in our store, you've seen this hat, is we have sewn on about 25 tags on this hat because these are all the handmade tags that we stock here in the store. Again, we have cork, we have faux suede, and we even have some fun plastic tags. And these don't necessarily, the tags are not limited to hats. You can certainly put them on the cuff of a sweater, the bottom hem, on the side of a scarf. And that's really a nice touch, especially if you're gifting your item. So this is the Tonka Bay Toque.
And the other part I like about having the tags, if you don't have the beautiful join when you join in the round,
Great point.
this is a great way to hide it.
It's all the tips around here. Yes.
Oh, what is this?
We are not done with cashmere because not only do we stock Cardiff's Classic, which is DK weight, Cardiff's Curly, which is bulky weight, but we do have several colors in Cardiff Large, and this is their worsted weight, which is so lofty and delicious. So what we did is we took a pattern that needed 2 different colors. This is Story Hill by Haley Sharping. And one of our staff knit this beauty up. And this used 3 skeins of Nero, which is the black, and 1 skein of the dark gray. And the sections alternate with just simply a wandering knit stitch on top of all the pearls. It's a little geometric. It's kind of like an illusion. 1 by 1 basic ribbing, very warm. I mean, if you wear a cashmere hat outside in the winter, you're going to be warm. You don't need a double brim.
Nope.
So this is all knit out of the large base. This is a kit that we've made up here in the store. So if you're interested in it, stop by and check it out.
All right. So we call this the Croft Cable Beanie. So in this one, we used the Croft yarn by West Yorkshire Spinners because they have a wonderful tweed base. And we also have now the Shetland colors as well, which is the solid counterpart. So what's unusual about this yarn is that it is 100% Highland wool, yet it is machine washable.
It's been treated.
Yeah, it's been treated, but it still has that wonderful wool feel that you may really be after, especially in stranded work. So we used their lovely tweed colors. We also have their Shetland colors line, which is the solid counterpoint to this, so you can find wonderful coordinating colors.
They're beautiful. It's a beautiful bright color palette.
Yep. And we picked the probably the softest tweed color that we have.
We did.
But it's so lovely. And it just takes your 2 by ribbed brim, and then you have just a 1 little cable cross detail before finishing the hat in the 2 by ribbing up to the crown decreases. And of course, we found this beautiful raccoon fur pom-pom that has a little touch of the lavender inside with the brown tips, and it just complemented this colorway so well. So
this
again,
is a TYA exclusive
this is
pattern.
a TYA exclusive pattern, so the pattern will be free with the purchase of the yarn. And again, it's called the Croft Cable Beanie. And lastly, we have Double Trouble, which is another TYA exclusive kit. And I say kit because this calls for 2 colors of Malabrigo merino worsted, but you use only about half a skein of each color. So we've taken the liberty of creating kits all ready for you. Half a skein of the pink, half a skein of the natural, and then we made you a pom-pom to attach yourself. So you hold both colorways double, a simple 2 by ribbing, stocking net beanie, wonderful fun knit, and it's just fun to watch how the colors play together when you get to the top.
And we've even included in the kit a handmade tag. So not only did we make the pom-pom for you, it was quite the fun day here, and we put a hat tag right in there. So it really is a complete kit, and what a reasonably priced kit to purchase for a gift. Now, Malabrigo merino worsted is an Aran weight yarn. It's a bit of a misnomer, but it is only machine washable. It is not a it's only hand washable. It's not a machine washable yarn. So if you gift this, you want to make sure it goes to a recipient who will care for it properly. So I think one of the this or that's I asked you last time was fingering or worsted weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you said worsted.
Yep.
And I said DK. And all the hats that we just showcased really tells you why it's DK all the way, because just the variety of hats made in DK, and that just kind of one skein wonder hat over the weekend is really appealing to customers. So definitely check out some of those hats that we just featured. So speaking of this or that, you know, I have a couple more for you here.
All right.
Definitely comment in the YouTube comment box some of your favorite drink recipes. They could be cocktails or mocktails, and we'll enter each comment into a chance to win a gift certificate for the Yarn Attic. And along the same lines, go to our Instagram and Facebook pages and play our this or that games to chance to be entered into another gift certificate to our store. So who doesn't want a gift certificate, right?
Exactly.
And then who doesn't want a drink on a Thursday? We've earned it.
Yeah.
Those were a lot of hats we featured. So what kind of drinks are you in mind? I have a few more questions for you. We could do those.
Let's
and
do
see
some
if you're
questions.
feeling a little inspired.
Yeah.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Dirty or not?
Dirty. I like some olives.
I hate olives.
In fact, I would actually make my Bloody Mary a little bit dirty sometimes. A little olive juice, olives as a garnish.
Oh, we spoke about garnishes and Bloody Mary garnishes. We like to send pictures to each other. I really like a Bloody Mary with about 5 shrimp attached to it coming out of the glass.
I've seen.
I could skip the celery.
I've seen a Bloody Mary garnish that actually had a crab cake slider on it. It was an entire meal.
Yeah, I think seafood and Bloody Mary go really well together. You have to have them. It's a must. Absolutely. So the bigger the garnish, the better. I've seen bacon strips.
Oh,
and,
my goodness.
You know, that's really not my thing, but big old dog shrimp. Oh, yeah. All right, so wine or beer?
Wine.
All right.
How about you?
Wine.
Yeah.
I think I'm eating something salty like Chinese food or Japanese food. I'll have Japanese beer.
Yeah.
I can't go wrong with that. But
Yeah.
otherwise, no. It just makes me warm.
Yeah.
It's not really my jam. Shaken or stirred?
Oh. Right now, I'm probably stirred.
I think I'm a shaken girl.
Yeah.
I think because I would prefer things colder.
Mm.
It gets a little colder, right?
Yeah.
So, though, next question is neat or on ice?
On ice for me.
Yeah. I'm a neat girl, especially whiskey. I prefer no one to serve me whiskey with any ice. I prefer my ice on the side off, and I'll order it that way. This way I can see what I was poured also, especially on a nice pour of whiskey.
Yeah.
You want to make sure they were generous, or at least what they're supposed to pour.
Exactly.
Foreign or domestic for you when we do have a beer?
Yeah, probably foreign.
Absolutely, all the way.
Yeah.
There's no reason to drink domestic beer. On tap or bottled?
If it's a place that has good turnaround in their taps,
You think you're overthinking this?
I'm a little overthinking this, but sometimes on tap.
On tap all the way. Absolutely. Except if you're in the French Quarter in New Orleans, where they won't pour you a whole beer, order a bottle. That's happened to me more than a dozen times. It was good advice.
Good advice.
Absolutely.
Travel
When you're in a
advice.
seedy kind of place, you know,
Bottled.
a bottle
Yeah.
beer is probably the way to go. You know what you're getting. Yeah.
Yeah.
IPA or a lager?
Lager.
IPA all the way.
Too bitter for me.
An IPA
Yeah.
versus a lager, too bitter. Interesting. All right. You ready for this? This is provocative.
Uh-oh.
I think you can handle it.
Okay.
Stemmed or stemless?
Yes.
That's a good answer. I have to agree. I was going to say stemmed.
Mm-hmm.
But really, if it's wine, it can come any way it wants.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's easier to handle. Like, you don't have to worry about the height and knocking it over.
That's true. Speaking of glasses that are stemless, we have, in addition to our Yarn Attic wine glasses, we have these kind of playful, whimsical glasses that you can have wine or iced tea, soda, water, or seltzer, whatever makes you happy. And they all have little different designs on them. This one's my favorite. Is that your favorite?
Yeah.
Sheep-faced?
Sheep-faced.
Yeah. And then if you have yarn plus wine, it does equal frogging your work. And we're all very familiar with that around here. And this is our last one. yarn bombed, which
That's my second favorite.
that's your second favorite?
Yeah, yarn bomb.
I like them all. I think they're spectacular, especially if they're filled up. They're great. So these are stemless glasses that we also have here in the store, and we have a lot of fun with that. So yeah, stem or stemless, what's the difference? Exactly, just enjoy. So this or that, last one, rum or whiskey?
Rum.
I am definitely whiskey. So why don't you share all your rum favorites,
Okay.
and then we'll come back and I'll share some of my whiskey knowledge with you.
So I kind of keep it simple with a couple rum drinks that I like. Over the summer, during the especially hot summer that we had, one of my favorite go-tos is pineapple juice and a dark or spiced rum. So the trick to making this really look neat, not neat as in no ice, because you do need ice for this, but is to have the pineapple juice chilled and also have some ice cubes in your glass. Shake up the pineapple juice, pour it into your glass first, and then you add a shot of, let it chill. That's the critical part, let it chill. Because the colder the pineapple juice is, when you pour your shot of rum, darker spiced rum on top, it'll float on top and be very dark and kind of drip down into the pineapple juice. Really great effect, and then you just stir it up and enjoy. And then recently, I found on a Facebook post, somebody posted a question of, what can I do with my really ripe bananas that's not banana bread? And some genius said, a daiquiri. And that has been my second go-to this really hot summer. So I will take my even riper banana, get out my blender, grind up some ice in the banana, and then I like to use actually a light coconut milk. It has the fat, but it doesn't have the carbs. You know, a nice little trade-off, stays light and frothy and creamy. And then you add some rum, a little bit of sugar, blend it all up, and you have a wonderful frozen concoction.
And you can slowly enjoy while you knit.
Exactly.
Your winter hats.
You can think cold thoughts with a frozen drink in your hands.
Well, that sounds very refreshing. Wonderful.
And, you know, I also like to play up a little bit. You know, I'll break out the Kahlua, which is coffee flavored rum. Yep. And then I'll go for my White Russian. And of course, now with the blender drinks and the bananas, I'm debating on the name. I'm thinking along the lines of a frozen Siberian monkey, because it's a White Russian with banana and frozen.
We might need our TYA exclusive drink.
Yeah.
Why don't you put your comments below and give us some suggestions of what our exclusive drink should be. Don't forget about Betsy. She's going to have to be able to drink it too. So make sure it's sheep friendly. So speaking of hats, let's go back and check out all these great worsted weight hats we have here in the store.
All right, wonderful.
We're still standing. We're doing all right. Next up, by Andrea Mowry, the pollen hat. This is knit, and the next several hats that we have here, knitted and crocheted, are all out of Madeline Tosh Vintage, which we've spoken about at length. 100% merino, machine washable, hand dry flat. So lots of hats that we make in that yarn here. What I absolutely love about this hat is just the intersection of kind of these lines, and this is the second hat I think we should like this, so I think it probably pleases my eye. It gives a lot of texture, especially in this weight yarn. Tosh Vintage is a worsted to Aran weight. You could really knit it at either gauge, and it's helpful if you're looking for an Aran weight and you're a tighter knitter. Really is, you can knit it at that gauge very easily. Let's see, it is very size inclusive for a hat, baby to adult large, and this is for sale, the pattern's for sale in store and on Ravelry.
So where we go from the more traveling stitch, now we have a very ordered stitch. So the Pinion Pine by the notorious s.h.e, or is it said notorious s.h.e? I don't know. Up for debate. This is a wonderful pattern, again, Tosh Vintage, and we carried it also, again, with the Ito Sensai. I guess I like a more structured kind of cable design, or even a traveling cable design, where the last one was a little more freeform. This one begins to look like the pine needles on a tree. Let's see, this is, again, just a great, simple project. And then, of course, we had to top it off. This one, again, is, believe it or not, a faux pom-pom.
Great
but
color.
it has a beautiful color that just brings out the greens of the Shire colorway.
Absolutely. One other thing to note about the pattern is every knit stitch is through the back loop. So if you're not a through the back loop girl, might not be for you. It can be a little tricky, the hat. The crisscrossing and the cabling on this can be a little tricky. Notorious s.h.e does give you a YouTube video on how to do a quick version of some of those cables. So I suggest watching it, actually. I had not seen that way to do it. So I think that's a great thing. Lastly, one thing to mention is that if we add a mohair, which is not a machine washable yarn, to a machine washable yarn such as Tosh Vintage, the hat is no longer machine washable. So the recommendations for servicing this hat would then be to hand wash it, because you're not going to want to machine wash mohair. It's not going to stand up for that.
No.
Just wanted to mention that. This chestnut hat, thank you.
Very cute.
Yeah, super cute. I look at this as kind of a unisex hat. I certainly can see, any person. And also, this is size inclusive, toddler to adult large again. So this is great. Madeline Tosh, I think this is esoteric. Oh, it's Cousteau. That would be my second guess. This is great pattern, available on Ravelry. Pretty quick knit, I would say. And it has a traveling knit stitch that moves in and out to create this onion shape, and that's highlighted on each inside of the onions with all purl stitches. So what a great pattern.
All right, so this may look familiar. It is what we call the copycat beanie. We have rewritten it as a free pattern just to make it a little easier to understand, because there were a lot of different options. So we just tried to simplify it and give you two options for the brim. Again, it's a folded over brim that is either you sew in after the fact, or you can pick up the live stitches before you hit the body. So for this project, again, Tosh Vintage in natural, and then we carried Ito's Kinjin. So that's that slight metallic thread throughout, and you can add Kinjin to just about any project if you want that sparkle.
Absolutely.
We have very few yarns in the store that have their own sparkle, but if you want to make anything sparkly, carry the Ito Kinjin. Again, like the mohair, it does mean that it changes it then from a machine wash to a hand wash project, but sometimes for a little bit of bling, you just need to add that little bit.
Absolutely.
And again, we topped it with actually a faux pom-pom, but gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous pattern. And that's also then a handmade tag to go with it.
Super fun.
Super fun.
So in this store, we've given, we have directions for this hat in, as Allison said, the folded brim, and we also have a single brim that you can just make, single length, or you can knit that twice and fold it up on the outside, and then you don't have to sew in your provisional on the hat. So that makes it a little easier, and we've had that written out for you. And I think I've also had several customers request this pattern in a DK weight, so I believe we have that also in our files, and we can give that to you if you're interested. Now the copycat beanie, of course, from 2 winters ago was super popular, and of course there's a crochet version, and we made it twice. We actually had we did it a little different each time. This is a pattern on Ravelry called the Anna beanie, and the gray version you see here was crocheted according to the pattern. What's interesting in crochet, when you're making a ribbing, you don't work from the bottom up. In crochet, you make a strip equal to the circumference of the hat that you're looking for, with slight negative ease, so the hat of course sits comfortably on you and doesn't fall over your eyes. Once you get your ribbing crocheted up, then you pick up stitches along that ribbing edge, and then you do start working vertically. Now you see this great triple band of stitches in each section that are going along, and how that's done is to crochet through the third loop. So in a crochet stitch, there's a front loop, the back loop, but behind your work is a third loop, and oh, is it difficult to get into there sometimes. But you go back into that third loop, and that'll expose the front and the back loops, and that's how you get this kind of Latvian braid look that is hard to accomplish in crochet, but this pattern delivered it, and this is a great pattern. Now we crocheted up a second time, a little bit more easier in a way. So without going to the third loop, we crocheted through the back loop on this one. So it only exposes the front loop of your work. And that's why you're getting a single line and not the V line that you see here. Okay, so that's up to you. You want to give that third loop a try when making it, and you're like, ooh, this is not for me, then just go back and just crochet through the back loop. You can always crochet through the front and back loops, and then you won't have the line at all on your work. But we think the line gives a nice divider for each of these sections. Okay, and we have this all typed out for you here in the store. So both have a little tag, I believe. This ribbing was made a little smaller, and again, both in Tosh vintage. This one's heavy.
Yeah.
You must have a warm head there.
I do. So, as we mentioned earlier, Kelbourne Woolens did their year of hats. This is the October hat. And since my birthday's in October, I decided to make it for myself. A little spoiling treat. So I used Tosh Vintage in Scout. And again, that with the Ito Sensei Cherry Blossom. I love that colorway so much. And I just had a lot of fun with it. Again, should still be free patterns, I believe.
I believe so. Yes.
On Ravelry.
Now, do you remember, did this start with a tubular cast on? Because that's certainly what it looks like.
I believe it did. And if not, I may have changed it because I did it for one of these hats and I loved it because it just gives so much more stretch. And especially as you see, I have a lot of ribbing because I like a big folded brim. So I did extend the pattern to accomplish that. But with that tubular cast on, it just makes a wonderful stretchy difference.
Right, and it makes it look like the stitches are coming out of nowhere. You don't get like a sideways stitch on the bottom of your work. So a lot of people kind of go like that when you say tubular cast on, but
it's really not that bad, and it's worth it.
Absolutely.
Another great little tip technique for your toolkit.
Last up in Tosh Vintage, but one of our favorite kind of knit-alongs that we did here for Woolly Wormhead. She comes out with a hat knit-along, or at least she has for at least 12 of the past years. And this was Skelter from a couple of years ago, and I think we had dozens of customers knit this hat with us, and Woolly Wormhead releases all the clues out. And one of the most interesting features about this hat is this split here in the back, which when we made this brim, which is the first clue, we thought this was quite unusual, but truthfully it fits really well because any tightness in the hat is relieved by this. You can also wear a lower pom-pom and kind of have your hair coming out in the back. So super fun. First you knit this open brim flat, and then you start knitting it around with just a fabulous simple kind of gradually thinning cable pattern. And again, this is Woolly Wormhead, and we made a pom-pom for this one. I might have been the first one around here.
Once in a while,
we might make pom-pom. Right. We have some great pom-pom kits here. You don't need to get cardboard and make a lopsided pom-pom. You could do better than that. We have several size kits here from Clover for pom-pom making, and they're absolutely worth purchasing. And you'll have it in your repertoire.
And you get a wonderfully round pom-pom instead of having to keep trimming down, because it's designed to be even all the way around when you cut the pom-pom open.
Wonderful.
And this was one of my favorites too. Again, like you said, with the split hem in the back. I always find my hats riding up in the back. So to have this hit right at the base of your neck, back here, and then come over and your ears are nice and warm, and it's just a great fun.
It's a really well-fitting hat. It really was very surprising. So since we're feeling so lively, the next hat is although it's a knit hat, it was designed by the happy hooker herself, Debbie Stoller. This hat was knit in Kelbourne Woolens Lucky Tweed, which is a fabulous newer yarn here, Aran weight, a real tweed yarn, no recycled material in this. And the structure of the yarn just lends itself perfectly to a cabled hat. Super warm, of course, real wool. You want to hand wash this. It's only going to get softer with time. And just the breadth of the colors of the tweed are really outstanding, and it is a Donegal tweed. It's gorgeous. So this
next we have Jason's Cashmere hat. Now this pattern I did in Blue Sky Fibers Extra, So it's not quite cashmere, but it feels wonderful nonetheless. It's a pattern on Ravelry by Melissa Thompson. And I really liked using this yarn for it. The sample I knit, I did use it on smaller needles, so you can see a very tight definition of the cables. But then I made it again for myself, and I went a needle size up, and it just became so much more lofty. So you can control your size also then by your needle size and the yarn you select. It is only one size at 22 inches. So again, that would be a great tip. If you go down to a worsted yarn and choose the smaller needle sizes, you could make this hat slightly smaller if your head needs about a 20 inch or 21 inch circumference. And then of course, topped it off with a wonderful faux pom-pom and just a very cozy hat to wear.
Definitely. I can see that hat walking around New York City at some point. Alrighty. So one of our wonderful customers who knits our samples made us beloved Erin. And this is also out of Blue Sky Fibers Extra, which is just a luxurious blend of yarn. And I think the beauty of this hat for me is just the simplicity of the seed stitch. It's actually kind of a wandering seed stitch, which is why we're getting that spiral effect. Simple 1x1 ribbing. It seems like there's a German twisted cast on it, so it's a little chunkier of a cast on, but super stretchy. And the seed stitch really hides the crown decreases. So a great, real stylish hat, just kind of fun, super easy to make, great weekend project.
So another hat using the extra yarn. And unfortunately, I believe this is a discontinued color now.
Yes, I think the cherry blossom was discontinued for this year. Yeah.
But it was so lovely, and I just needed something out of it, so I made a hat. This is called the Trumpeter's Toque. But this was a fun pattern of cables and a little bit of almost seed stitch design, maybe a broken rib on the side. And just, it was a lot of fun. I did actually increase the pattern size by 1 repeat. I felt it was a little tight before. So again, you always make modifications to your hats on what will fit you and how much you like the pattern. So
nice, very pretty design.
Nice 2x2 rib. The rib almost bleeds right into the cables, which is really lovely. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
We can't get enough cables, I think, for our extra. So last up, using Blue Sky Fibers Extra, is a hat made in the extra black. And speaking of cables, this guy has a lot of cables, so much so that even the ribbing has a cable pattern to it. So it really is a lovely design where you start off with a knit 2 ribbing in 1 repeat and then a 2x2 cable on another. So you do have to watch your tension there because the cable will be a lot tighter than a traditional ribbing. And the pattern's really accordingly written for that. The cable kind of opens up and then it spreads apart and it goes into 2 separate cables up the hat. And I think it's a really romantic kind of look. The beauty of this hat, which is why we detagged it, is so you can see the crown. I sometimes find that designers, newer designers or unexperienced designers, don't really have the knowledge to create a pattern where a crown shaping where the pattern numbers work into the crown shaping. And a lot of times they'll put a more modified or basic pattern on the crown. It's kind of disappointing. I always find that disappointing. Well, this pattern did not disappoint. This crown is beautiful, and it's the reason why I knit the hat in and of itself. So this is Terracotta Forest in Blue Sky Fibers Extra, and this one has a real leather tag on it. I forgot that we had real leather tags in black here with silver writing. So if you're in the mood for a little leather, hand wash this hat, definitely. Yeah. But this would be a wonderful gift for someone really special. Allison.
Rhonda. Who's our friend?
You think she's pretty creepy. I know.
A little bit.
You don't like being alone in the store with her?
Well, she's not looking at me right now, so I'm okay. No.
I think she's amazing. She's wearing the Hearth by Kim Hamlin. And what a surprise little winner the Hearth has been. We knitted the Hearth last winter and made some kits. This sample was knit in Malabrigo Mecha which is Malabrigo's bulky weight yarn, single ply, and machine washable. This is knit in Sarisa, which means cherry, of course, and one of our favorite Malabrigo colors. And the harp is really interesting because it acts as a hat, where it kind of simply gives you coverage with this kind of romantic little drapey look, but it also covers your neck because of the extended brim that is actually knit first, and of course a button closure. You can wear the harp and just throw your hood off. So let's say if you're out shopping and coming in and out of your car and running into a store, you can keep your hat on while you're in and out, in the parking lot. And when you get into the store, you can simply just drop the hat down. You don't have to put that hat in your pocket and potentially lose it, which is terrifying if you've hand knit or crocheted a hat. So it really is quite functional and really pretty looking. So as I mentioned, you first start with the brim and you knit that around. And then you start doing some very interesting short row shaping to create the body of the hat and the crown all at the same time. So it's a really ingenious construction. I'll take the tag off here so you can see how the back is done. Thank you to all the customers who came in and bought one, because clearly it's a winner and I think it's a lot of fun. I think I'm going to have to make myself one for this year.
And it is really cute because you're kind of making your own little hoodie for whatever you're wearing.
It's super.
And the button
super
closure,
great.
Of course, you get to accessorize a little bit.
Now we have some of these kits made up in the store and we've picked a button for you, but no worries. You could pick your own button, your own yarn. Any bulky weight will do. And I think I knit the harp in a weekend, so it's a quick project as well.
All right, next up, we have a hat that is very originally named Jupiter is Flat, for two reasons. First of all, this is also using Malabrigo Mecha, and the colorway is Jupiter, a lovely mix of reds, orange, black undertones. And the reason why it's called Jupiter is Flat is because it is actually knit flat and seamed on the side when you're finished. So it's a great project for beginner hat makers, especially if you want a little definition in knit and pearls. You have a couple, it's mostly pearl with then a couple knit stitches just to give you a bit of a staggered stockinette stripe, I would call it.
Sure.
And just a lot easier to tackle with knitting flat versus jumping to in the round. It can be very intimidating for our beginners.
Absolutely.
But this will give you a great head start with that.
It's also a good project to learn to seam. So if you're going to knit it flat and you get out of knitting it in the round, well, then it has to be seamed. So it's really a nice way to learn how to seam. You don't have to make an entire sweater to learn how to seam something. So this is really a good segue from that first kind of scarf project that seems to take forever. Make it a nice flat hat. You're going to learn basic shaping in the crown. Even if it's knit flat, it still needs shaping. And then once it's done, you'll seam it. So it's really a great beginner project, and we've had a lot of success with it. Jupiter is Flat.
A TYA exclusive pattern, so it's free when you purchase the yarn.
Wonderful. Allison, tell us about this goodie we've had here for a while.
This is one of my favorites. Let's make sure we can see the button here.
Yeah.
So this is the Rasta Beanie. It's a free in-store pattern with purchase of the yarn. This is a wonderful quick knit. I think the fastest I've knit one is about 2 hours, because it's a very nice, beautiful Rasta yarn, obviously from Malabrigo, which is bulky weight, and you use a size 13 needle. You start off knitting the brim flat for a few rows, and then you join in the round, and it's a simple beanie, very simple decreases at the top, and then again you get to choose your own little accessory of a button. We have a really awesome square button that I just love. I'm a little more orthogonal. And wonderful gift to make for somebody. I believe it does need to be hand washed.
Yes.
So make sure they will care for it properly. It's not just a gift for somebody that's like, oh, I'll throw it in the wash, and then they end up with, a doll's hat.
Absolutely. So Rasta is super bulky, single ply, hand wash yarn. Now also in Rasta, of course.
So this is the Butterfly Blossom Beanie. Whew, got it. Again, Malabrigo Rasta, and this is one of their Tribeca colorways called Almond Blossom. It is a TYA exclusive pattern, so that means it is free with the yarn. And it just has a wonderful little detail of essentially knitting through the stitch below to create a traveling pattern.
Those are the butterfly wings.
Those are the little butterfly wings.
That's why I named it that.
So it's for two sizes, a 20-inch and a 22-inch circumference. Again, nice quick project because you use a size 13 and 15 needle. Can breeze through this fairly quickly, and it is just another fun, pretty knit.
Absolutely. So you mentioned this is Rasta in Almond Blossom, which was their second release of colorways called Tribeca, which was about 2 years ago. They released the Tribeca colorways, which were all these kind of soft muted colors, a gray, a blue, a melon, a cucumber, all very pretty. And what just came out just even a few days ago are all their vibrant speckle colorways called Pintada colors. We do have all of those right now in stock on our website. They are going pretty fast. So if you like bright and speckle and fun, and you love Rasta, which many of our customers do, we were able to get that here, and we have it ready for sale. So please do check that out. Maybe we'll have to knit up a hat this week, I think, in one of those colorways, so we have it for you if you stop by during the wool walk. So Rasta's sister yarn is called Caracol, which
so pretty
means snail in Spanish. We always kind of look up our Malabrigo names so we know what they're thinking. Again, fabulous black with white pointed raccoon pom-pom. That's the real deal, that pom-pom. And this is Caracol, which is the same super bulky weight, single ply, 100% merino, non-superwash yarn from Malabrigo. And the reason it's called Caracol, meaning snail, is the yarn itself is wrapped with a contrast fiber. In this case, it's a natural colorway wrapped with a black yarn around it, and it really makes a really neat look. And the colors are all very different. A lot of the colors look stained glass when you take their more vibrant colors. We kind of knitted this in a neutral palette, so you can go as wild and crazy as you'd like. You can do a pom-pom or no pom-pom. Once you knit the hat, you will not have enough yarn for a yarn pom-pom, though. There's not many yarns on a skein or Rasta, so it doesn't go as far enough to give you a pom-pom. Also, the fiber inside Rasta is a little different color than the outside of the yarn. So if you make a pom-pom, the tips of your pom-pom actually will be a different color. It looks a little peculiar. So that's why we don't make too many pom-poms using Rasta. But check out Caracol and Rasta here in the store. Together between both of them, we probably have 70 colors, I would say, if not 80 colors. Allison, I have bad news.
What's that?
This is our last hat.
Oh boy.
I know. We'll have to toast
to
all of our hats and all the memories that we have. We have a lot of fun here, designing hats and putting them together and texting each other. I don't have the right gauge, or why does it have to be another German cast on?
Or I did the cable the wrong way, 10 rows back.
That does happen even to the best of us. I always say that a more experienced knitter, it's not that he or she doesn't make mistakes, it's that they make the easiest mistakes time and time again. Confidence is not your best friend when it comes to knitting sometimes in crochet. So this is a fun little kit that we have here in the store. This yarn features from Trendsetter Yarns, and the yarn is called Me, and it's a variegated yarn. And here we've actually held 2 strands double. Thank you to one of our teachers for knitting this up for us. And she held 2 strands of different colors double, and then made the hat into this single 2x2 ribbing. And the crown shaping is hidden in the rib stitches and the purl stitches. So the knit stitches kind of come together at the crown. Again, I always like how the crown looks. To me, that's really important in a hat, and that shows a good design. So if you're ever interested in making a hat, check out the crown on that hat and see how well it's done, and see if the entire hat flows from cast on to cast off. So this takes 2 skeins of yarn, 1 in each color, quick knit done on a 17 needle. This is a 3-hour hat, I would say. And if you're drinking, a 4.5-hour hat. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Wonderful. So thank you for joining us. We're happy to show you all the hats here in the store. And this is probably a tenth of all the hats that we have here. all of the staff and teachers and many customers knit us a hat every season. So generally every season we get about 20 to 25 new hats, and we're really very honored by that. So thank you. If you've made a hat here and we didn't show it, we apologize. It's still here in the store, we assure you. Come on and visit it. And if yours did get featured, thank you so much again. We appreciate all your hard work. So now that we're done with all of our hats,
Yeah,
I think it's time for a toast.
absolutely.
All righty. That was a lot of hats.
I can't believe we made it through.
I am really looking forward to winter getting here
Oh,
and finishing up 2020 with like a giant freezing winter blast.
please.
Wouldn't that be spectacular?
Yes.
Great. My favorites, now that you've shared
Yes.
your favorite drinks, thank you, and lots of rum to try. My favorite drink is not all that creative, and I am a whiskey girl, mostly Scotch, but I do dabble in bourbons and other blends. But we have one bottle here in the store, but during my little whiskey chat here, we'll pan over some of the whiskeys that I have in my whiskey cabinet that I share with my husband. But I'm going to say it's my whiskey cabinet.
Yeah.
And that was one of our items we bought during the COVID lockdown, just to entertain ourselves. I'm going to pour us each a shot of, this is a single malt Scotch. This is Glenfiddich, 12-year-old. It's a good go-to. I would call this a Tuesday night whiskey. My husband will certainly laugh at that. I wouldn't drink it on a special Saturday night per se, but it's a lovely option to have. And since it's Thirsty Thursday, it makes perfect sense that we finish up our video with a toast. Whiskey's really hot right now, just like rum is hot. And in the whiskey cabinet, I'll show you also some sipping rums. So these are not rums that you would necessarily pour in a mixed drink, especially banana, I think. Yeah, their viscose level is much higher, and you're going to generally drink them neat, and you're going to get quite a little buzz off a very little amount of whiskey. The ABV is pretty high on those. So we'll pan over some of them. Generally, they're Caribbean, South American varieties, and we like to collect them when we go on vacation. So we have some nice options, and some very kind people have sent us some as gifts as well. And this came to the store as a gift one day. We've gotten a couple bottles of whiskey. Yeah. So some of the customers know that I care for whiskey quite a bit, and I care for whiskey so much that during COVID, not only did I get a liquor cabinet, I got a dog. A big dog. And he's just spectacular. I really like him. And so I named him Whiskey. He hasn't disappointed. He's has a lot of body and a lot of soul. And we just adore him. Our third video, our third vlog per se, is going to feature some of Whiskey the dog. Some of my favorite whiskeys are generally from Scotland, which is why they're called Scotch. And I really like the kind of moderate flavor of a Scotch. Along those same lines, many Japanese distillers learned how to create whiskey in Scotland. So many Japanese whiskeys have a similar taste to Scotch. So my two favorite countries are Scotland and Japan for whiskeys. The United States is the largest importer of whiskey in the world, no surprise. And the United States is the largest importer of Jameson in the world. So a lot of people here in the United States like to drink Jameson. Yep. And again, good, stable. I consider Jameson a beer chaser. Is what I would do with Jameson. Okay. I'd order a beer and a shot of Jameson, and I'd have those together. So that's how I like to drink my beer. So like Jameson, a Heineken, mix your countries, and there you go. And then all is good with the world. There are a few American whiskeys and bourbons that I have. One dessert whiskey that's pecan flavored. I think I have peanut butter flavored whiskey and coffee whiskey. There's lots of different things here in the cabinet for you to check out. And I have a few, a little bit more special whiskeys. I just got a beautiful bottle, a Signet for my 50th birthday, which it's probably my second bottle of Signet, I guess, in a couple of years. So I'll have to drink that one a little more slowly since there won't be another 50th birthday for a while. So I'm looking forward to enjoying that. I'm pretty sure I've opened it and had a drink out of it at least once. So that's my favorite whiskey. And if you are you're a whiskey lover and want to try something special, it almost has a coffee tone to it. So if you're a coffee and whiskey lover, I can't recommend Signet enough. Bourbon, listen, pulled pork, inject that with bourbon. That's what we tend to do with bourbon in our house. So we enjoy a little liquor flavored meat on our smoker as well.
It comes out really good.
Comes out really good, yeah. Definitely stay tuned for our next episode featuring Whiskey the dog. And he's not allowed to have any drinks. But would you join me in a toast? Will. So here's to our second vlog, and here's to our wonderful customers and staff and teachers who will be back here once we have our classes resumed. We're looking forward to seeing all of you. And have a great night. Cheers.
Cheers.